Hi, and welcome to our virtual gardening program. My name is Diane Yarrow. I'm the Assistant Director and Adult Services Librarian here at the Irvin L. Young Memorial Library in Whitewater, Wisconsin. Today in our virtual gardening program, we're going to be talking about composting. We're going to focus mainly on how you can compost in your own kitchen and also the types of methods that you can compost both inside and outside. Now you may be wondering why you would want to compost. Well, we all create a lot of kitchen scraps, especially if you do most of your cooking at home. People who eat out may not want to be interested in composting and may not have anything to compost, but those who do a lot of cooking and have a lot of scraps, composting is a really wise decision. And other reasons why you should compost is to keep the food waste out of the landfill. Composting enriches the soil. It retains moisture and suppresses plant diseases and pests. It reduces the need for chemical fertilizers, which is a good thing. It reduces methane emissions from landfills and lowers your carbon footprint. And it encourages the production of beneficial bacteria and fungi that break down organic matter to create humus, which is a rich nutrient material. So let's get started and talk about some of the main steps in composting. There are really three components to composting, and those are browns, greens, and water. Those are the three things you need to know. Your brown waste, your green waste, and water. Those three items will help you get started with a really rich compost pile. So today, I'm going to show you how you can keep a little compost stash in your kitchen, and then you can either continue to compost inside or you can take it outside. First of all, we have quite a few books at the library on composting. This one was really helpful. We've got quite a few of them, as you can see. So if you need more information after this program, please come to the library and check out some books. And if you haven't signed up for our summer reading program, that would be a great time to do so. So there is indoor composting and outdoor. Indoor composting can be as simple as having a plastic container that you throw your kitchen scraps in, and then you take this out to an outdoor compost bin. You could also do inside vermicomposting, which involves worms, or bokashi enzyme method, which you would need to get a kit to get started, but it gives you all the enzymes and everything you need to compost. Or you can stick to just having a little small compost that you carry outside to your outdoor compost bin. It doesn't have to be complicated. There are very simple ways to keep the compost in your kitchen. Let's talk about outdoor composting a little. There are a couple different methods, of course. There is the pile or bin method, which would require equipment. You would need a bin to keep it in or a pile to keep it. There is also the trench method, which is very easy. If you have a big garden space and you don't want to have the bin or the pile of mess, then that would be ideal for you as the trench method. The trench method, basically, you just dig down 8 inches. It can be as long as you want it to be. You dig down 8 inches and you take your scraps from your kitchen and you bury them. And if they're down 8 inches, then that should be far enough so that rodents and pests do not disturb your scraps that you have buried. If you're doing the bin method or pile method, you'll want to use the layering, also called lasagna method, or trenching, the lasagna or layering method, which is just layering the greens and the browns, the greens and the browns. And we're going to talk about those greens and browns right now because they're very important whether you're composting inside or outside. So your greens provide nitrogen for your compost heap. The browns provide carbon, and you need water, of course, and oxygen to help all of that decompose. So what are things that you can compost? You can compost cardboard, coffee grounds and filters, eggshells, fireplace ashes from natural wood only, fruits and vegetables, grass clippings, hair and fur, hay and straw, houseplants, leaves, shredded newspaper, nutshells, paper that is uncoated and that you've cut into small pieces, sawdust, tea bags, wood chips, and yard trimmings. These are all great things to compost. Things that should not be composted. Black walnut tree leaves or twigs because they release substances that could be harmful to plants. Coal or charcoal ash because they also will be harmful to plants. You do not want to compost dairy products and eggs because they create odor and pests and rodents are attracted to those items. Do not compost diseased or insect-ridden plants. Fats, grease, lards, and oils should not be composted. They again cause an odor issue and attract the pests and the rodents and flies. Meat or fish bones and scraps, those also create an odor and you do not want to use them because again, the pests and rodents will come. They also could carry pathogens. You do not want to compost pet feces or litter. And you do not want to compost yard trimmings that have been treated with chemical pesticides. That is a big no. So when you're composting in the house, there are a couple ways to do it very simply. And we are going to show you how to do that. You really just need a plastic container with a lid that has some holes in it. And you're going to layer your stuff in there. You can take a paper bag. It can be a big garbage or a big one from the grocery store or a small one like this. You would take your paper bag, take some newspaper or paper towels and put them in the bottom of your bag. This would be our brown materials. Brown materials include stuff as paper, newspaper, dead leaves, branches and twigs. Those would be your brown. And you always want to put the brown ingredients as your first layer, bottom layer. Start with the brown, then green, brown, and green. So you could take your paper towels, put it in your paper bag, and then start adding your other scraps. And a good idea is every time you're adding like some of your green products, you throw in some brown product too, some shredded newspaper or something like that to help the process get going. If you are just wanting to do a little composting here and there, maybe you have a bin outside and you don't want to be bothered with a container or the bag, you can just take your items, like here I've got a piece of newspaper, I've got my peelings from an apple, and you're going to wrap this up like it's a burrito. So you're just going to wrap it up like a burrito so that you've got a nice tidy little package, and you could leave this in your house for a couple days, take it out to the compost bin. There are a lot of easy ways to do your composting inside. Doesn't take a lot of fancy things. So let's get started on making a little composting container at home. You need a plastic container or metal or ceramic. You need a tight fitting lid. This one is really nice, has a tight fitting lid. The Folgers coffee containers are really nice because they're plastic and their lids fit really tight. So you're going to take your plastic container, and you could use larger containers. It just depends upon the space you have in your kitchen and how much you want to keep in your kitchen at any given time. So you get your little plastic container or your metal or ceramic container. Take the lid and make sure you put some holes in it. You can take a drill bit, like a 1/4 inch drill bit works really well for drilling holes. You could even use an X-Acto knife and cut out some square holes. To tell you the truth, I took this lid and I took my glue gun and I made the holes with the glue gun, and it worked really nice. And the plastic came right off of the glue gun, so it didn't harm the glue gun, and I thought it made some really nice uniform holes. So you have your plastic container. That could be it. You layer your stuff in it, put the lid on, put this in the refrigerator. If you didn't want to keep it in the refrigerator, an alternative is to get a disposable charcoal filter. So you would take the lid after you've put the holes in it, you would take your glue gun or some crazy glue and you would glue your filter to the inside, and then you could keep this on your counter. And the reason you need the filter is to keep the odor down. So if you're keeping it on your counter, you don't want it to get really smelly. So again, if you don't want to use the filter, you can just put it right in the refrigerator. Throw your scraps in, put it in the refrigerator. And it's good to get in a habit of doing your composting in your kitchen. Like you get up in the morning, you make your coffee, put the grounds in your bin right away. Peel an apple, put it in your bin right away. And once you have the items in, it's good to keep things stirred up so that the oxygen is in there. That goes for your outdoor bins as well. You need to keep turning things a little bit to get the oxygen and make sure everything is getting composted and decomposed the way it needs to. You do want to make sure that you start with a very clean container, so this should be washed really well or disinfected. Let's start layering some of our items that we have here so that you can get an idea of how we should be doing our composting. So I have some shredded paper. This came in a packaging and they said that it was just shredded brown paper. I've got some shredded newspapers in here that I shredded up. So to layer, we just want to put some brown mixture on the bottom. And then we can add some of our greens. We've got our peelings. And you can use eggshells. You can just throw them in there, or you can mush them up. Tea bag. You can also use pieces from old dead flowers. These were some marigolds I had. I just snipped the ends off. You can put those in. And so now we've got a nice layer of brown and we got some layering of green in there. So before I add any more of my green, I should add a little more brown just to keep things layered nicely. So I'm going to throw the rest of my shredded paper in here. And now I'm going to continue to add, I've got some coffee grounds here. I'm going to put my coffee grounds in there. Keep layering. Add my marigolds, the rest of my eggshells, and then we're going to put the lid on it. And if you have the filter, you just leave it out on your counter or put it in the refrigerator, and there you have a nice, easy tabletop composting container. Now, if I was going to continue to do some hardcore composting in my home, I could get a couple of different types of larger composting to add this to the larger one. And for that, again, one of them is called Natural Mill Automatic Composting Bin. So basically, you just get it started, you add your stuff, and it's electric, so it does the composting for you. Downside to that is it's using electricity. The Bokashi bucket system works nice because you just buy the enzymes to get you started and it decomposes. It's done by bacteria, kind of like a fermentation. The other type of large indoor composting would be the vermicomposting with the worm system. And a lot of people have that if you have a basement or some room that isn't, being used. You could keep that in there that doesn't have odor, and it's a really nice way to add your composting kitchen scraps to it, and you get really rich soil from the compost with the worms. Once you've got your indoor established and you want to start doing an outdoor composting, again, you could get, there's all kind of containers you can buy, fancy containers. You could use your own, like a garbage bin, plastic garbage bin. You can use that method, and that again is going to be the layering method with the browns and the greens. And if your browns are too dry, you might want to add some water to it, some moisture. You need to keep the oxygen going in there. It's kind of like feeding a fire. You need enough oxygen to get it going so things decompose and create that nice, rich humus soil. So if you didn't want to deal with a bin, you can just have a pile going out of the way. Just keep adding to it. When you have the pile, kind of put your table scraps in there, kind of buried so they aren't right up on top. There's the trench method that I mentioned where you can build a trench, dig a trench. It can be at least 8 inches deep and as long as you want it to be. And you just take your scraps out and add them to that trench and cover it up so that it can do its thing. And before you know it, you have some nice rich soil there that you can dig up and use in your garden. I guess that covers most of the methods of composting. Again, you could even use a cardboard milk container to keep in your kitchen to keep the scraps in. We've got our bag method. If you're adding things to the bag though, you do want to make sure you keep it folded over, and not a bad idea to put a clip on it because that will keep fruit flies and things out of it. Fruit flies might be attractive. So get creative. Again, plastic, metal, ceramic. You want a tight fitting lid. You can use this method. Don't forget there's the newspaper burrito method where you wrap things up. And if you need more information or if you need different types of methods, come to the library, get a few books. We've got some really nice books on composting here. I do believe that out of all the books we have, this is my favorite. I got a lot of nice ideas from this one, and it was very easy to read and understand. So that's always a good thing. Again, remember the 3 components are your brown goods, your green goods, some water, oxygen, and you'll be composting in no time. You may be wondering how long it takes for things to compost. That depends upon the climate. If your bin's outside, it could take anywhere from 2 weeks to 2 years, depending upon how warm it is. The warmer it is outside, the sooner things are going to decompose. And also they need that good mixture of the browns, the greens, water, and you need to keep turning to get the oxygen going in there. So that's our program on composting. I hope that you learned something good today, and please come check out some books. To get more information, come to the library and sign up for the summer reading program if you haven't, and join us next time when we will be making our own mosquito repellent candles. So that will be fun. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.